Hi, I'm Jonas, from the Raleigh News and Observer. And on this week's episode of ACC Now podcast, we have a special edition of the show from San Diego, California. I'm joined by NC State defensive backs coach Freddie Aughtry-Lindsay and NC State strength and conditioning coordinator Dantonio Thunder Burnette, two former NC State linebackers who both played and started on the 2002 NC State football team that won 11 games and also won the Gator Bowl against Notre Dame. We talked about some of those memories from that 2002 season, and we compare players from this year's team to that year's team for this episode of ACC Now. We are here for the Holiday Bowl, and NC State at 9-3 has a chance to do something very special tomorrow with the win over UCLA. That will put them at 10-3, just the second team in school history with double-digit wins. The only other time it happened was back in 2002. That seems like it was just around the corner, but also seemed like it was a long time ago to me. 2002, have two members of that team, who were on that football team that went 11-3. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
11-3. Knocked off Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. Dantonio was knocking quarterbacks out of the game down there in Jacksonville. Two former NC State linebackers, Freddie Aughtry-Lindsay and Dantonio Burnette. Again, thank you guys for joining me. How's your trip to San Diego been treating you so far?
Go ahead, Thump.
Well, it's been awesome, man. It's been a blessing to actually have an opportunity to come out here to San Diego and, have a chance to go to the zoo and then also have a chance to go to SeaWorld and see the naval base. So it's been a blessing. A lot of the guys on the team actually haven't been out to the West Coast before, including myself. I've been out to Las Vegas and been out to Arizona before, but this is my first time actually in California and coming to San Diego. But it's been awesome. It's been such a blessing. The guys have enjoyed it, and we understand that we're out here on a mission. We have a job to do.
I feel the same way as Coach Burnette, man. And, I've been out here once before coaching, so didn't really have time to spend like we had here at the bowl game, but it's been a great experience. My wife and kids have been here, so it's been good to have them around the team and just get ready to win this game on tomorrow.
So I want to look back to 2002 for a second. Obviously, that's like the gold standard team in NC State history. You guys had that remarkable run that year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Started out 8-0. Was it 8-0 to start the season?
9-0.
Oh, 9-0. Thank you. That's why I'm glad you guys are here for clarification. 9-0 to start the season and finish out strong with that big Gator Bowl win. I want to go back to before the start of that season. Obviously, off-season workouts and you guys are around each other. At what point did either one of you have a feeling that team in 2002 was going to be very special?
Well, for us, I think we knew it going into that the off-season winter program. As you guys know, the winter program it starts to the beginning of the off-season program. You put to rest one season, and it's the beginning of a next season. And so we just saw we had so much chemistry, a lot of leadership on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And those are some of the same things that we saw on this team, man. Guys that are just, great people, really good leaders on the offensive side with, guys like Grant Gibson and Larry, who has been phenomenal in his role as the quarterback. And it was amazing that, he was able to break Phillip Rivers' record because Phillip was all quarterback. And then you go over to the defensive side of the ball and have guys like Isaiah Moore and Tanner Ingle. And then Isaiah ended up handing the reins over to Drake Thomas, who we knew that, he was going to be a leader and be more of a vocal leader at some point. He had his opportunity. So, as the year went on in that 2002 season, we just started to see that chemistry that we had was one of those. We were going to be a really good team and a team to be reckoned with in the ACC. So that this team this year, very similar. Every week people were talking about us. It wasn't like we were going to sneak up on anyone. Every week, people had to bring their A game when they played against us. And now we're just trying to, cap things off. I'll allow Freddie to give his perspective on it as well.
Obviously the things that Dan has said, I agree with. For me, Dan was a senior. Mm-hmm. I was a young pup. I was a sophomore, just began starting that year. So from my perspective, we had a lot of great senior leadership. And they were able to bring us together. And our best players were our best leaders. And it was things in the off season. Obviously, the off season program was great, but one thing that I thought that stood out for us, man, we started doing things. We had huge team Bible studies. we started doing things that, as groups and doing things together outside of just football, having things at people's houses, playing video games. I mean, we're talking 20, 30 guys, hanging out and doing things and building a bond. And that started, in the wintertime, going throughout the summer. So for me, being a young guy at that time, seeing that develop, and seeing how things were supposed to be in the championship program, man, and just learning from those older guys, that was my perspective in seeing it. And I see that in this team here. Our best players are our best leaders, and they do everything together, which is one of our words that we use is hard, tough, together. That's a really tough, huge thing for us. So our guys have been together in every aspect, on and off the field. So that's what I've seen that's similar from those two teams.
It's funny you mentioned that because throughout the last 2 years, when we talk to guys, there's one thing they always bring up is how tight this team has been the last 2 years off the field. And that's important. How important is that to see guys have that chemistry? You get 12, 13 Saturdays to play, but you got to build that chemistry the rest of the year. How important is to have that chemistry? And when did you kind of notice that this current team had a similar chemistry to your 2002 squad?
I'll go on that first. I think the chemistry, it started really throughout the end of last season, as we grew and we made a run late in the season and we rallied and win some games. Obviously, we lost a bowl game, but we knew what we wanted to be going into the offseason. And then getting into winter workouts and getting into the offseason program with Coach Thunder, he does a great job of continuing what we established at the end of that season. And it's really, in my mind, it started then. And it continued to grow. It continued to snowball. And guys took ownership in it, so that's where I think it began. So,
I agree.
Okay, go ahead. You go ahead, Thunder.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Freddie is saying, and I do think that COVID year really brought a lot of perspective to a lot of us because it's amazing what happens when you have things taken away from you. That much time away from each other, man. It was crazy how guys literally we missed each other. Not having an opportunity to be in close proximity with your brothers and hugging them and being around them all the time, because I'm telling you, once you become a Division I athlete or a college athlete in general, you're going to spend more time with your teammates than you probably spend with anyone on campus, outside of your strength coach. So us being away from each other and starting last year and us just having a chance to play, getting a chance to play, man, it changed a lot of guys' perspective. I think it lit the fire in a lot of guys' belly to understand that we get to. I remember Coach Dawn used to say that all the time, man, we get to. We're blessed to have the opportunity to do something that we get a chance to do. So we didn't take it for granted going into the off-season program. Every day that we had a chance to get out there and train and work together, guys are like, we don't know what could happen. It can be taken away from us. Let's enjoy it. Let's have a brotherhood. Let's have this bond. And you can just see that all the way through the building, from the coaches, support staff, the players. And it's one of those things that are very contagious. I mean, we talk about culture, and I see a lot of people tweet and repost about our culture. There's a reason a lot of guys are coming back. We've built something that's very special.
Speaking of term very special, that 9-0 start, that run you guys went on in 2002, y'all were like rock stars around North Carolina. I mean, you were ranked in the top 25, prime time. I still remember that I think it was a Thursday primetime game at Clemson, how big that was. You guys just smacked them in the mouth like right off the bat. That's like everybody knew you guys were for real. What was that run like, that 9-0 start to the season? Like, could you just feel this train gaining more steam each week?
Exactly like you said, man. It was one of those things that you can tell it just started to pick up steam. And then you had guys like Lee Corso and certain people around the country who was like, man, NC State haven't played anyone. And so Clemson was supposed to be like our big test. And we went down there and we put it to them. I remember Jericho Aughtry. They tried to kick an onside kick. He picked it up and returned it. Terrence Holt had a big return. T.A. McClendon, I think he rushed for 170-some yards. So it was his big debut also outside of that Texas Tech game. But it was just one of those things where the steam continued to pick up. And that year we started out 9-0, and I think we were ranked number 6 in the nation at one point. Us, Georgia, Oklahoma, and somebody else all lost on the same weekend. But it was a pretty special year, man. Special year.
You go ahead, Freddie. No, you go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like, the one thing that I saw, that I felt, from us as a team, is that we believed that every game that we went into, man, we were going to win. Like, it was never doubt in our mind as players. And that started, just from us being around each other and knowing each other and believing in the man next to us. So, it wasn't a surprise for us. It was a surprise for people that hadn't been around us and maybe hadn't paid attention to us. But for us, our culture and how we had it built at that time in 2002, man, it was something that we felt we was going to do, and we did it, and we continued to win. So, and I feel like this team has that same type of mindset that when we go play, like, we're gonna win. We got a chance to win and beat anybody that we play and step on the field with.
I think it's so special to the both of you guys are back here at your alma mater, and this team is on the brink of doing something special. But the 2002 team is still the measuring stick. You guys walk around the building, chest out a little bit, like, listen, you guys are doing great, but look, remember, we're still the team with the most wins.
I think for Freddie and I, man, we're such humble guys. We really don't talk about our playing days, because we played here and people know that, we were on that team. They recognize that, but we sort of stay away from trying to talk about ourselves and try to talk about them, because our thing is if we're getting over the hump and outdoing the team that we were on, we're going to be a pretty special team. And that's the goal. That's the gold standard, and we believe that we're going to do that. This bowl game is the next step in the right direction for us to be a national powerhouse and be a team that's recognized, from the West Coast to the East Coast, and that's our thing.
Yeah, well said. I agree. I don't want to say nothing else after that. I agree with all that.
Speaking of the bowl game and the big stage, of course, like I said, back in 2002, you guys played Notre Dame, which was, for the longest time, the gold standard in college football. And, a lot of people felt like they didn't want to be at the Gator Bowl and yada, yada, yada. You guys came out and just sent a message. Can you kind of just talk me through leading up to that game and your memories from that game, and just how the momentum that game built towards the next season?
Go ahead, Freddie.
Okay. Well, I mean, we obviously, we're excited to go to the Gator Bowl. It was in Jacksonville, and I'll never forget that one of the gifts that year was camcorders, right? So, I mean, we were recording everything, and we just enjoyed the bowl and the atmosphere, and we took it all in. And we would see, Notre Dame at the dinners and things of that nature, and we just felt like, they felt like they might have been a little bit better than us. And that they were kind of disrespected to being in this bowl and playing us. So we took that as, we're going to play with a little chip on our shoulder, and we're going to show you what we can do when we get out here on this field. So that's how we took it. That was our approach. And we got into the game, man, and we played how we played.
You still have that camcorder? I'm just curious.
I absolutely do.
Oh.
I do. I still have tapes from the game and everything. Yep.
Oh, that's okay. Where do you even watch them these days? You put them on DVD?
I had to watch them in the camcorder still.
Oh, that's awesome. The Thunder. Any thoughts from that week in that big game and playing Notre Dame in 2002?
Yeah, it was one of those games. I'm telling you, it's so crazy how this season and that season is like almost a complete mirror of each other. That last game of the season was against Florida State. We beat Florida State, and guess what they did? They stormed the field.
Yeah.
They rushed the field, tore down the goalposts. The last game of this season, the fans felt the need to rush the field versus UNC. And we went into that bowl game, after beating Florida State. We were like, man, this could be a major stamp that we can put on this season. Even though we had hit a 3-game slide of losing 3 games, we finished that season the right way by beating Florida State. And as Freddie mentioned, you get to play Notre Dame, and that was one of the most storied programs in college football. And we have a lot of respect for UCLA as well. We feel like their program has so much history with all the elite players that have come through that program. But at the end of the day, NC State, we feel like we're one of those programs. We don't have to take a backseat to anyone. It's our job to go out there and play our best ball. And I think Coach Dorn and his staff has done a great job of preparing our players. All we want is an opportunity. And we always say we don't want to be happy hopers. We want to be diligent doers, which means we want to be diligent about doing everything we can to give ourselves a chance to win the game.
I think it's funny that you guys are playing another story program that wears gold helmets in this bowl game. It's like it's all.
I told you, man, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's like this. It's all lined up. The stars all lined up.
Yeah.
Gold helmets, a historic program. All of it. It's all lined up.
Plus, they have a little bit of Carolina blue in their uniforms too. Yeah. So that makes it a little bit
even sweater.
Yeah.
Are there any guys on this team who remind you, personality-wise, or the way they play, who remind you of anybody from the 2002 roster?
Tanner Ingle reminds me of Andre Maddox a lot.
Okay.
With the way he comes down the hill, and I mean, that guy will lay the wood to you, and he was just mean and nasty. Let me see here. I mean, Icky is a special dude. Chris Coleman was one of those guys that was just nasty and physical. But God bless the day with that one. Scott Kustra, those guys, had a physical mindset. Shane Riggs. So I always say, man, Icky would be one of those guys that could have been able to play on our offensive line because those guys were big dudes and just mean and physical. And, of course, what Larry did this year, it proves that he's on par with being one of the better quarterbacks that have had a chance to put that jersey on in a season, And so it's always hard to compare different generations. Back then, man, we were in the box downhill. Drake would be one of those guys. Him and Isaiah would be one of those guys that could get in there and play back with us. But now the game is so spread out. But those are some of the guys that just jump out to me. I don't know if you have any guys that you could think of, Coach Aughtry-Lindsay.
Man, I mean, I would agree with those guys, man. I mean, we just got a team right here this year, man. I have a lot of guys that could play on the team that we played on. And I mean, I'm not just saying that, but because I'm here, but I mean, we've established a team of really good football players. And that's what we had in 2002. So I would say it's a lot of guys. Again, I won't want to pick out too many other guys because I don't want to leave anybody out. It's a lot of good players here that I know could play back at that time, man, and then doing it now.
Yeah. How often I know I saw the Zoom reunion you did last offseason, Thunder, but how often does the 2002 team link up, or the group chats, or are you guys still pretty tight? How often does that team still keep in contact as much as they can? 100 some guys, but as much as they can.
We still have group chats, man. Text message every holiday they're going around. When we're talking about our sons and things that our kids are doing. So it's one of those situations where we do keep in contact. Philip and I were texting on Christmas Day, and which is pretty cool because, as you know, he was out here in San Diego for a long time. So he was giving me this laundry list of restaurants to check out. And it's always good, to talk to guys that you had an opportunity to play with. And Freddie will tell you, man, we can go months without talking to each other. But when we do get a chance to chat and text, man, it's like we've been around each other for years,
Yeah, I mean, we stay in touch, man. It's a brotherhood. We always, no matter how long we haven't spoken to each other, things of that nature, that's just what we do, man. We're bonded forever, so we're always going to stay connected, and we find time to, even in our busy lives, make sure we call and talk and text one another and keep everybody informed on what's going on.
Okay. Well, coaches, gentlemen, I told you I wouldn't keep you too long, so I appreciate the time. I appreciate the trip down memory lane from the best team ever in the history of NC State football, the rock stars of 2002, Dantonio knocking quarterbacks out, Freddie and the rest of that group, running downhill on defense. But like I said, it was a fun team to watch. I still remember that team vividly. Like I told you before, Freddie, one of my high school teammates was on that team. Chip Cross. So I was watching that team closely back in the day. So again, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Good luck to the team tomorrow. Good luck to you guys, and thank you again for joining.
Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure.
Go Pack.